All right, let's jump right into this explainer, shall we? Today we're untangling a seriously chaotic web of competing factions, eerie prophecies, and deadly traps, all centering around the hunt for a rare treasure. We're looking at a fascinating scenario where intense desperation collides with ultimate greed, pulling some of the most powerful forces in this world into an absolute powder keg. To really understand the stakes here, you have to look at the death swamp itself. It's exactly what it sounds like, literally swarming with poisonous insects and treacherous mud. But honestly, the environment isn't even the worst part. As the lore tells us, the good and the evil will fight you to the death before the swamp even gets a chance to. Survival here is completely secondary to greed. Here's our quick roadmap for today's explainer. We're going to cover the Death Swamp Treasure, how factions collide in Dawang, some spooky fortunes and foreshadowing, the weird fishmen anomaly, and finally, the bottomless pit trap. So starting with part 1, the Death Swamp Treasure. What is the actual spark lighting this massive fire? Well, you've got the Chongsheng Tong sect. These guys aren't just looking to get rich, they are literally fighting for their lives. Their leader, Hallmaster Yu Yangzi, knows full well that his sect is on incredibly shaky ground. They're surrounded by enemies and practically on the brink of total collapse. For them, this newly born rare treasure isn't some luxury item, it's a desperate prayer. They need it to crush their enemies and reclaim their lost prestige. It's a classic power dynamic, right? Organizations on the brink of collapse are often the most dangerous because they have absolutely nothing left to lose. Which brings us to part 2. Factions collide in Dawang. Because of this desperation, Dawang Village, the place where news of mysterious golden light first spread, turns into a complete powder keg. It's totally overrun. On one side, you have the Righteous Path, led by the Qingyun men, who are actively using this whole treasure hunt as an excuse to hunt down demon thieves. On the flip side, you have an entire coalition of demon sects drawn by the treasure: Chengxingtong, Wandu men, the Ghost King sect, and the Hahan faction. The village has effectively become a war zone before anyone has even stepped foot into the swamp. To keep all the players straight, let's map out the heavy hitters from the evil factions who are circling each other in the village. From Wonderman, we've got Qin Wuyan, better known as the Poisonous Young Master. From the Ghost King sect, there's Gi Li, feared as the Bloody Young Master. And right alongside them is the leader from the Heihuan faction. Make no mistake, these aren't foot soldiers. These are the young masters of their respective domains, all crammed into one broken-down mountain village. And the crazy thing is, these villains aren't just fighting the heroes. They are fiercely competing against one another. You have Xinjiang Tang throwing their weight around, violently clearing the area and bullying the locals. Meanwhile, the heavyweights Wandu men and the Ghost King sect are already at each other's throats, nearly coming to blows right there in the streets. And strategically, the Heihuan faction is just kicking back, watching the tigers fight, waiting for the absolute perfect moment to strike. Moving on to part 3, fortunes and foreshadowing. Right in the middle of this hostile village takeover, there's a young girl named Xiao Huan. She's just casually sitting there, charging 12 taels of silver for face readings. It is completely absurd given the tension, but shockingly, she is startlingly accurate. So Qin Wenyan, the Poisonous Young Master, steps up for a word test. Xiao Han analyzes the character Qin, explaining that it signifies the West and a cold, harsh land. Because of this alignment, she foretells that he will actually have great luck going into the deadly swamp. He gets this highly auspicious reading, hinting that his toxic nature is going to serve him exceptionally well in the mire. Then there's Glili. His reading, way darker. He's described as having a yin spirit, ghost body, feared by the world. What's so fascinating here is how Xiao Han's reading perfectly reflects his bludgy reputation and ties deeply into the core mythology of his faction, referencing the evil king who created the world and Our Lady of the Netherworld. It's a heavy, ominous fortune, suggesting his path is going to be tangled up with some incredibly dark, foundational forces. We also run into this super cynical, umbrella-stealing Taoist. Xiao Han reads his face, noting his strange features, and tells him his merit lines are pushed aside with weak follow-up. Her conclusion? Achieving success in life is going to be incredibly difficult for him unless he gets the help of a noble person. It's a bit of comic relief, sure, but it hints heavily at his need for future allies, even as he stubbornly claims he'll fight against good people for the rest of his life. All right, part 4, the Fishmen Anomaly. Just as we're settling into the character drama, things go completely off the rails and paranoia spikes sharply. A disciple of the Heihuan faction is found dead, and the suspected murder weapon?
black toads, which are the signature poison of the Wanduman sect. Qin Muyan outright denies it, saying, hey, if I wanted to kill, I wouldn't even need to use poison. He promises a personal explanation. But this blatant framing attempt shows that someone is actively and ruthlessly trying to turn the demon sects against each other.
But the real mystery here, the thing that literally stops our characters dead in their tracks, is spotting strange creatures in the pouring rain. Why on earth would they be here? To put this into perspective, fishmen are one of the 63 alien races originating from the 100,000 mountains. Those mountains are thousands of miles away. Their presence here, lurking in the shadows of Dawang Village, is a massive red flag. It tells us right away that the situation is being manipulated by outside forces. Someone or something dragged them across the world for a specific and probably terrifying purpose. Which leads us right into part 5, the bottomless pit trap. Everything we've talked about, the posturing, the fortunes, the framed murder, it all culminates right here. Step by step, you can see how the chaos successfully separates the powerful leaders from their backup. First, the rumor of the treasure and the golden light acts as the perfect bait. Second, the righteous path, busy chasing demon beeves, gets intentionally lured away toward the bottomless pit. And third, the 3 young masters, the leaders of the demon sects, are so caught up in their own rivalries and the rush for the treasure that they plunge into the death swamp completely isolated, with zero backup. So it really forces us to ask, amidst all this scheming, who's actually the hunter and who's the prey? It's a brilliant display of manipulation, honestly. The righteous path thinks they're hunting the demon sects. The demon sects think they're hunting the treasure. But they are all being played. Hall Master Yu Yangzi delivers this absolutely chilling line that confirms everything. The fish is hooked. Already reached the bottomless pit. The entire treasure hunt, the golden light, the rumors, it's all a carefully orchestrated snare by a dying faction desperate to wipe out their enemies in one swift stroke. And that brings us to the end of our explainer today. As both the righteous path and the isolated demon young masters plunge blindly into the death swamp, they unknowingly step straight into Chang Shengtang's deadly trap. So, I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought. When both the forces of good and the forces of evil are equally blinded by the promise of ultimate power, who, if anyone, will actually survive the jaws of the bottomless pit?